wise author once said, "Every child is a different kind of flower, and altogether they make this world a beautiful garden." Children are by far one of God's greatest gifts to the world. Their cheerfulness brings light, their innocence repels darkness, and their warmth heals brokenness. It's Valentine's Day, and in today's Friday edition of Jamaica Magazine, all our love and attention is being poured out to the little ones among us. In a moment, we bring you pertinent information on how you can help to safeguard our children against child labor and domestic abuse. Stay right there. We have lots in store for you.
Domestic violence and abuse has always been going on. Say to victims, report the matter, seek help, go to your local police. There are persons who are trained in the various divisions to deal with domestic violence and domestic abuse. We have two centers that are currently operational. One is at the Matilda's Corner Police Station. You can call the Matilda's Corner Police Station for that. The other one is at Air 5 Headquarters. That's on the same compound as Constant Spring Police Station. The number is 702-5120 or 702-5121. Co-workers, neighbors, family members, don't sit silently and say, "Oh, I knew they were having difficulties, but I didn't know the extent." No. Seek help on their behalf and tell your victim or your friend who is the victim, say to them, "Listen, I want to help you and I'm going to help you, but I have to seek help outside of me."
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, February 14. The other two patients who were in isolation at a Ministry of Health and Wellness facility have tested negative for COVID-19, previously called the novel coronavirus. The ministry says it received the test results for the second and third person yesterday from the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPA. Results for the first patient who arrived on the island from China on January 30 returned on February 12. The second individual had an elevated temperature, which was detected while in quarantine. The third person was placed in isolation after being detected with a fever on arrival at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay on February 11. The ministry says all three patients will be discharged given their negative test results. Persons are being reminded that quarantine and isolation procedures are in place to allow for the detection and early investigation of all individuals who may have been exposed to the virus. The Education Ministry is implementing measures to fill the vacancies caused by 390 teachers leaving the public school system since September. At a press conference yesterday, Minister with Oversight Carl Samuda said there was no need for panic.
The steps taken to address these vacancies are as follows. We have allowed boards to recruit retired teachers, and you'll recall that we made pronouncements in this regard earlier in the year and last year as well.
The ministry has also engaged part-time educators and final-year student teachers to carry out their practical experience at schools temporarily. Some institutions have also merged smaller classes to reduce the demand for teachers, while some teachers are sharing expertise through the Twinning of Schools program. The ministry has also redeployed teachers who were previously engaged at all-age and junior high schools to assist at the secondary level. And Mr. Samuda says the ministry plans to spend $360 million over the next 3 years, funding an additional 300 teachers. Still on education, 400 safety and security officers will be deployed to schools island-wide in an effort to provide adequate security at these institutions.
We are drawing on the Hope graduates, and they will be, I think, a very, very useful addition to this particular area of concern. To date, 184 have been placed, and the others are to be placed by the end of February.
He says the officers will be deployed mainly at the primary level.
We are presently recruiting safety and security officers for each region across the country. We are also seeking to assign 2 police advisors to the ministry for the purpose of guiding our approach to safety and security.
The ministry will also be collaborating with the Jamaica Constabulary Force to place 154 school resource officers in 221 schools. Additionally, by the end of March, 30 overhead metal detectors will be installed in schools. In other news, the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica (PCJ) has granted a 6-month extension to its production sharing agreement with Tullow Jamaica Limited and United Oil and Gas. The extension, which ends on July 31, 2020, was granted to allow the joint venture partners to finalize the current farm-down initiative related to the pending drill drop decision. The PCJ says these activities are standard procedures within the oil and gas industry, primarily used to share risk within an exploration basin. The current exploration period, which is in its third subphase, includes the detailed 3D seismic imaging. That was completed in 2018 offshore Jamaica, with the final interpretation-ready data product being delivered to the PCJ in mid-2019. The PCJ says several prospects and leads in the Walton Basin have been identified and mapped on the 3D seismic data and form the basis of the ongoing farm-down evaluations. It was reported back in February 2019 by United Oil and Gas that new estimates indicated there were about 229 million barrels of recoverable oil and gas offshore Jamaica. Tullow Jamaica Limited and United Oil and Gas have an 80 to 20% sharing agreement in the oil exploration project. Greg Christie has been appointed Executive Director of the Integrity Commission and will assume the position on May 18 this year. Prior to this appointment, Mr. Christie headed the Office of the Contractor General between 2005 and 2012. The Attorney at Law will bring to the Commission his vast experience in public administration as well as the private sector. The Integrity Commission is the country's single anti-corruption body that was established in 2019 and is within the Office of the Prime Minister. It was formed from the merger of the Integrity Commission, the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption, and the Office of the Contractor General. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government will be increasing its integration of technology in the traffic environment in the coming financial year. Mr. Holness says the state will increase the number of cameras installed for Jamaica Eye to address the growing indiscipline on the nation's roads. The Prime Minister says the cameras will be equipped with sensors to read license plates and detect speeding, to assist with prosecutions and the issuing of traffic tickets. The initiative will be rolled out in Kingston, followed by urban areas, with plans for island-wide rollout in the coming years.
Once we have increased our ability to detect, we will increase our prosecution, and the increase of prosecution without any form of compromise, because that has also been a challenge for law enforcement. Once you break the law and you are detected, you will be prosecuted.
Mr. Holness was addressing Wednesday's grand opening of the Jaguar Land Rover showroom in Kingston. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Domestic violence has become a widespread disease in our society. Its symptoms and effects are far-reaching, affecting not just the victim, but all those who come in contact with it, particularly our children. In our next feature, we dissect domestic violence and prescribe measures that victims, witnesses, and perpetrators can use to overcome its long-term effects.
All that is an actual story, a story all too familiar. And well, that's a part of my story. up, I've seen my father flip over the simplest of things. He would basically change from an angel to a devil in a flash. I remember this instance. My mom told me that she was coming home from work one evening because she worked very close to where he lived. She was coming home from work, and usually when you're leaving work, it's a lot of persons leaving at the same time, and she was talking to one of her co-workers and she smiled at him. He smiled back, and my father saw that, and when she went home, he was ready for her. He was like, "Oh, see, I smile at my pan the road, you smile at my pan the road." He beat her, he stripped her naked, and he chased her in front of the yard so all her co-workers could see. So all her co-workers could see her.
Domestic abuse or domestic violence is not just physical abuse. The physical abuse basically for us is the end product coming from somewhere else. So you have stalking, you have intimidation, you have threat, you have psychological abuse, the one that I'll tell you, I play on your emotions as to what I can do.
It was known to everybody that this was the type of person she was dating, this was the type of man he was. Even the security at the gate, the manager, everyone. So it's not like her life was a secret. She could not have any friends. He was the only person she could talk to, go anywhere with. If someone even talked to her and she not acknowledging them, she would get beaten for that. The least good thing, he would flip on her.
Usually, persons who are perpetrators of domestic violence are usually men, and usually they are persons who were controlling over their intimate partners. They tend to have a high level of jealousy, and they tend to be very possessive. And as such, you find that they will have a pattern of behavior where they will always check where the partner is by various means, whether by calling the person, asking the person where they are, also want to know what they're communicating with. So are they communicating persons on email, WhatsApp, or the social media platform? They also want to make sure that they know where they are at all times and that they're not interacting with other persons outside, so they tend to want to have them stay home, for example, and lose connection with their families and friends.
A lot of persons knew that my mom was being abused. Well, the type of man that my father was, everyone was afraid of him. My neighbor was afraid of him. His neighbor was afraid of him. It's like anyone who came into contact with him would get hurt because he's not a simple person. I'm not sure if it's because of his build. He's really fit, he's really tall, muscular, so he's not afraid.
As community members, we have a moral responsibility that within our homes and within our communities, once we are aware that there are instances of domestic abuse and domestic violence and we seek help, best place to go? To the police. Ask the police to intervene. Intervention can be that the police directs the victim to a counseling center, because we have partnership with churches, right? We have partnership with other organizations, Justices of the Peace, counselors.
Every time she escaped him, he would either stalk her, chase her, go to her either friend's house, wherever she went, friend's house, mother's house, cousin's house, no matter where she went, he would find her, go for her with a gun, knife, machete, whatever it may be, and she would always have to go back with him. No one, no matter how much they try to fight and help her, he would always get her back. And when she goes back with him, the beating got worse, the abuse got worse, the rape got worse, everything got worse.
Have an escape plan. Your escape plan cannot be where the perpetrator knows that you're going over to your mother's house because he's aware of where your mother lives. The escape plan cannot be, I'm going to go stay by my friend because he knows where your friends are. If it's a life-threatening abuse, that's where you go to the courts to seek a protection order or an occupation order or both.
I would say maybe around primary school. I'm not sure the exact age. I was told that there was a restraining order for between me and my father. He should not be about, I'm not sure how much feet from me. He is not allowed to be near me at all. At this time I was living with my grandmother because my mom got full custody now. They had went through court and everything and fought her way, so there was no more hiding from him. He knew where I was living now because she got custody and he had to basically step away.
The protection order will say you are not to be seen, you are to remove one party is to leave the household because of the volatility of the situation. The court may say, look here, one party must leave the household and reside elsewhere. And a lot of times it's the abuser that the court will say, look, stay somewhere else until the matter is heard. Or you're not to be seen in the workplace of the person.
The abuse that my mom endured, the physical abuse and the verbal abuse that I basically endured from my father, it has caused me to basically lock myself away from people. I'm always by myself, 90% of the time I would say. I'm always by myself. Throughout high school, I've had counseling. I was rebellious because I felt like no one loved me. I struggled in the relationship department, friendship. I have anger issues. I've learned to control it because of counseling. I had this teacher, she helped me throughout high school and university.
Comes able to revisit what happened, able to process it in a more positive way, a more realistic way. So you don't put all the blame on yourself, but you realize that a lot of it wasn't your fault, and then help you now to, having dealt with it, to try to move on. A lot of persons, because they don't deal with it, they find it difficult to relate to other persons because I felt that they're still kind of baggage of what happened to them before.
The Domestic Violence Intervention Centers, one of those facilities that were donated by the U.S. Embassy, and it's a partnership between the JCF and the U.S. Embassy, to create a facility where persons can come and speak about domestic violence and domestic abuse related issues within their home. And so it's a safe space for both victims and perpetrator. And it offers counseling to family members, to victims, also to perpetrators. We have two centers that are currently operational. One is at the Matilda's Corner Police Station. You can call the Matilda's Corner Police Station for that. The other one is at Air 5 headquarters. That's on the same compound as Constant Spring Police Station. The number is 702-5120 or 702-5121.
We also have available mental health and suicide helpline. And this helpline is a 24-hour service, which is toll-free, where a person can call. So it can be either persons calling on behalf of others that they have been exposed to domestic violence. So the helpline is toll-free and it's 888-NEW-LIFE, which is 888-639-5433. And the 24-hour service, 7 days per week.
If you know someone is being abused, say something, do something.
We can no longer turn a blind eye to our children. Each of us have the duty to protect them. As we continue to strengthen our protection campaign, we ask that you try positive discipline. Talk not once, twice, 3 times, 7 times even. In talking to your child, you make them comfortable to tell you about what is affecting them. Tell our children the truth and tell them what is wrong and why. We remind our parents, if you are having difficulties with your child, we are here for you to support you, along with the many other agencies that are set up for this purpose. Additionally, we remind parents that if you see another parent in need of help or sound advice, reach out and provide support. Every child is our child.
Every child needs a family. That's the theme for Foster Care Week that began on Sunday, February 9 and culminates tomorrow, Saturday, February 15. During this week, it's our duty to remind you that every child deserves a family. They deserve unconditional love, undivided attention, and unselfish devotion. And what better way to do this than to foster a child in need?
Have you ever thought about fostering a child but not so sure about how you can do so? Well, today is your lucky day. Get your pen and paper ready as we take you through all you need to know about the foster care program in Jamaica.
So what is foster care all about? Foster care is a process that allows non-biological parents to provide children in state care with a stable environment which contributes to their overall development. How do you become a foster parent? You have to be a responsible adult in good legal standing between the ages of 25 and 65. Must have accommodation that the child can be comfortably housed, gainfully employed or have some source of income, willing to undergo medical examination, must have a police record, meaning you must provide a police record, not that you must have a record, and finally to agree to a home visit and assessments by the children's officers periodically as they supervise the child in placement.
And those are the basic steps you need to take to foster a child. I dare you to make a difference and foster a child who is in need of your helping hand today. For more information on foster parenting, visit any CPFSA office island-wide or call 876-948-284122.
A common problem that too many of our children are encountering today is child labor. Child labor is any form of work that deprives youngsters of their childhood, their potential, their dignity, and is also harmful to their physical and mental development. Prime Minister Andrew Holness shares a timely reminder on how we can all put an end to this debilitating issue.
The culture of Jamaica is such that our parents would have instilled in us the value of work. And there is nothing wrong with parents ensuring that children understand the value of work. But when that crosses the line to getting our children engaged in illegal activities, such as scamming, when that crosses the line to get our children engaged in illegal activities such as becoming involved in the illegal sex trade and human trafficking, when that crosses the line such that being involved in work deprives the child of the opportunity of education, then that is not the kind of child labor that any country can be proud of. Many of our parents continue to take children out of school to help them in the markets on a Thursday and on a Friday. I can well understand and appreciate the need for the support of the household so that you can go to school on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But parents, you have to desist from doing that. The government has provided the resources necessary to ensure that children can remain in school for the full 5 days per week. And I encourage all parents, no matter how you are struggling, to take advantage of the support that the government gives through the PATH program
and other means, there is no excuse for parents to take their children out of school to support them in any form of economic activity.
Mommy,
Yes, Zoe?
can we read this book? It will only take 10 minutes.
Sure, sit down. Every spring, Madame Angel Wing arranges.
Do you have 10 minutes? Read with your child today. Reading with your children for just 10 minutes each day helps develop their language and listening skills, stimulates their imagination, and expands their understanding of the world. So, start reading with your child today.
It was the American writer Frederick Douglass who once said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Those words ring true today as it did when they were first spoken, instilling wholesome values and attitudes in our children, showering them with love and affection, and creating the right environment for them to become well-adjusted human beings is the only way we can build a better Jamaica. We're also aware that discipline is an important part of a child's development. Hear from Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Alanda Terrelong, on how we can shape our children's behavior without harming their future.
As a society, we must accept that violence begets violence. And when we deploy corporal punishment to beat our children into submission, we are instilling fear in our children, we are damaging them psychologically, we are harming them physically, we are not only leaving them with physical scars, but we are scarring them emotionally as well. The statistics show clearly that 85% of children under the age of 15 years old in Jamaica experience some sort of physical and psychological damage.
Speak to them. Explain to them the consequences of their actions. There's a difference between beating a 3-year-old for touching the fan. Boop, 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 boop. You gotta mash off your finger. Boop, boop, boop. Left the fan alone. My telephone left it. As opposed to speaking to that child gently and saying, well, what is going to happen if you keep playing in the fan? You're going to shock yourself. You might lose a finger. Don't do it, because guess what? You're not going to have any finger to eat with, you know. You're not going to have a finger to play with your toys, you know. And the child will understand. Children are remarkable human beings who learn faster than adults. They are like little sponges and they absorb every single thing we teach them. So they are teachable, they are trainable, and they will learn.
And this is the final stop in today's magazine. Thanks for sticking around with us for the whole show. If you enjoyed what you saw today and want to watch it all over again, simply visit our website, gis.gov.jm, for our daily video uploads. And while you're at it, why not follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for more information on government's programs and initiatives. I'm Audrey, reminding you that children are like wet cement. Whatever falls on them makes an impression. Have a great weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.